You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcos, and I'm on location at the Dory Theater at the Complex in Hollywood for their presentation of Pizza Man. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Terry Andres. I just finished my first show of Pizza Man, and it was really fun, being scary and angry, Julie. So, I'm exhausted. It was fun.
And which character did you play?
Julie. She's a troubled lady, and hopefully she gets help.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
A lot of crazy drama and comedy, anger, crying, a classic girls' night.
You know, I've asked a few women about this play. There's actually a different point of view if you're a man or you're a woman. Some women find it very empowering. They find it like, you know, this is just a play. You know, who cares about the morality? Who cares about the, you know, political correctness nowadays? The raw, visceral empowerment and helplessness that they feel from it is just very meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot of sex reversal in it, and so that's interesting. And I know a lot of it talks about rape and things, and that's very, very sensitive. So everyone's going to have extremely different ideas of it, but it gets people talking about certain subjects, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of like this is a vision of a world where women are the ones who are the predators. They are the ones, good or bad, whatever it is. It just flips the world about. And again, as a man, I'm a man, so I don't get it, but I know as a woman that basically there's just a different point of view there.
Yeah, these women have been beaten down and for so long that finally they've had enough and they snap for the night. So, but yeah, it's definitely very, it's a different kind of play.
Well, I love the play. Your character has got to be the best performance I've heard all year. I mean, you basically were an anti-hero in the level of Breaking Bad. You were kind of this person who we all identified with, a nice girl who slowly morphed into a criminal, and you did it so naturally. It was just so moving, so driven, so three-dimensional, so layered. I felt all the experiences that you were communicating through her angst, all the jobs she's been through, all the bad relationships. You just did a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. Thanks. I'm so happy you enjoyed it.
Thank you once again for being on the show.
Yes, of course. Have a good night.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Jazz Ray Cole from Pizza Man. Pizza Man, it is a role reversal, gender reversal. It's a very, very good play that everyone should come see.
And which character did you play?
I play Alice. Alice, the very fat, neurotic character. Alice, I think she's how I was in my very early 20s. Kind of over the top. Anything can ruffle her feathers. And she hasn't really found her grounding yet. And I feel like she starts to figure out herself during the course of the play.
You know, again, I've actually asked a few women their opinion about it, and I being a man, my opinion is slightly different. Their opinion, they're talking about things about empowerment, about, you know, what happens if the world would just switched around a little bit, and the women were the aggressors. And, you know, whether it's good or bad, I mean, it's good that the men are the aggressors, it's good that men are creating criminals. No, I mean, but what would it be like? They just came up with a very positive message behind that.
Yeah, I mean, rape is wrong on all accounts. But the reason that I like this play is because of that exact thing, is the fact that there is a gender reversal and a role reversal that we don't see, and a lot of people can be uncomfortable with because it's a different perspective, the perspective of a woman. And the man is the prey and not the predator, which is very, very, very different.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, first of all, I thought it was very funny. It was very entertaining.
Oh, good.
It's actually very philosophical, too, because it talked a lot about, you know, about a person's purpose and how to become happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a comedy on the surface, but there's a lot of really deep, heavy elements to it that are really, truly about life, which I think is fantastic.
Also love the acting. I love your acting in particular, too.
Thank you. It's so sweet.
Well, because, you know, comedy is so hard. You know, drama, they say that, dying is easy, comedy is hard. And also tying in the sensitive themes, tying in the intense drama of committing a crime, and also making it a dark comedy at the same time. You guys played parts fantastically.
Thank you. I mean, we have a fantastic director. Natalie Sutherland's amazing, and she really pushed us to not play the comedy, to play for keeps, to play for the reality of it, and I think it paid off. Yeah.
Once again, I really love the piece. I loved your acting. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Christian Gehring. I'm from Washington, D.C. I've been in L.A. for 6 years, and been acting ever since I got here, and I love it. Love L.A.
Okay, and which character did you play tonight?
Tonight I played Eddie, Eddie the Pizza Man. I love Eddie. I think that he, I think he's a really vulnerable, lighthearted young man, but he, towards the end of the play, you can kind of get the vibe that he's a little bit of a misogynist, and, he has some ways about him that he needs to focus on, he needs to grow, but he's young, and I could relate to that. We're both 29 years old, and it was easy to relate to somebody who had a lot of growing up to do and being thrust into adulthood. So that was a challenge, but it was super rewarding. Yeah.
I felt Eddie represented all of man. He was kind of like the symbol of man. It was kind of like in the eyes of a woman. He was a symbol of man in the eyes. They're kind of dumb, They're kind of really attractive. They're kind of, they're hardworking, but also they're really goofy and they're kind of misogynist. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. I would 100% agree. It's like he's an everyman. He's thrust into a situation that nobody would ever expect to be in, but I kind of love that with this play, how it kind of flips it, and it shows rape and the whole rape culture in a new light, and kind of brings it to the forefront, especially with the Me Too movement right now. And I think the material, Darlene Craviotto, her writing is incredible, and I think that in the 80s it echoed true, and even today I think it's even more relevant today. So yeah.
So if my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Expect a good time. I mean, it is like 0 to 100. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna feel every range of emotion. You might feel a little uncomfortable, but don't shy away. It's an amazing show, and it has a really, really good moral to it, and I think everybody should come out and see it.
I actually asked a few women, I specifically wanted their opinion about it, and they had a little different opinion from mine because I'm a man. They said that it was empowering. It was like, who cares about the morality that was going on at the point in time? It's just a woman who's just having a crisis right now, getting it off her chest, doing what she wants to do, even flipping the world around. What happens if the women were the ones in power?
Yeah.
This is the way it should be. I mean, let's try this for a while. That's what I really want. It was just such for them, it was just such a beautiful piece. But even as a man, I still got a lot out of it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the thing. It can relate to men and women. I mean, it's definitely empowering. It's definitely a piece that puts women on the forefront and shows that they're strong and they should be accepted as equals. But definitely as a man, I mean, like you said, Eddie's an everyman. So you can relate to that on so many levels, and just the environment that they're all thrust in, the kind of quarter life crisis they're all going to. I think we all have been there. We can all relate to that. So yeah, I would recommend everybody come see it. I think you'll feel a lot throughout the entire play, and I think you'll really enjoy it.
I enjoyed myself because it was, like you said, it was very funny, very entertaining. It was soul crushing in a way. If you put yourselves in their positions where they lose their job, where they have families that they can't take care of, it just hit you in the gut in that way.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, and it's heavy. There's no doubt about it. This is a heavy play, but there's a lot of comedic relief, and I think it's the perfect balance of drama and comedy, and also like important lessons and important topics that need to be discussed right now, especially in 2018. I think it's more relevant than ever. So, yeah, it's exciting.
I loved your performance. I thought you were very funny. Played the part very well, and I just loved the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the interview.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Natalie Sutherland. I directed Pizza Man, which you can hear everybody in the background has just came out from. It was a delight to direct. We've been rehearsing for almost 4 months. It's a monster of a play, as you know. There's a ton of exposition. So it's one of those things where it's almost like needlepoint. You have to go in there and thread every single thread so specifically. And when I met with them, I said, I want to direct this in a way it's never been done before. I want to mop up every piece of the gravy on this plate and leave nothing left. And I really do believe that that's what we managed to do, which is fantastic. I mean, with Eddie, we went in a completely different direction, but as you heard, the audience were laughing like hysterically. So I think what we accomplished was what we set out to do. You know, it was our vision, and it was definitely a team effort. And there was times where I was like, you just have to trust me, just do this. And they were like, what? I was like, just trust me. But the payoff was massive. So I think we've done a really good job of representing what we wanted to do with this piece. Yeah.
What did you like most about the story?
Most about the story is that it's a human story. It's about real people. It's, you know, 2 women struggling like every woman does with relationships with men, with, you know, especially with the big Me Too movement we've had recently, you know. It's one of those kind of through lines I feel that every woman deals with, and they're just trying to fix it. They're trying to solve what they think that they can solve, you know, which they find out they actually can't. It starts with themselves. It doesn't start outside of them.
I asked a lot of women what they thought about this play, and their take on it is different from my take, because I'm a man. You know, they said it was empowering. It was like, you know, even if you push aside the morality, I mean, men rape. I mean, whether that's right or wrong, that's the way the world is. What happens when we just flip the world around? I mean, and it came. Then when you put it at that light, then it seems more positive. It's like, what's wrong with a woman taking control? What's wrong with a world where women are powerful?
That's very true. Although these two are going, like, you swing the pendulum one way, they go really far in that direction. But yes, it is kind of that exchange of power. Them believing that this is the only way to do it is by strong arming it, and it's not actually the only way to do it. But they're young, they're in their 20s. These 2 characters, they don't know that yet. So they are trying to just take back the reins in any way they can. And, quote, raping a guy, end quote, seems to be the easiest way for them to do it, which they find out is really not. Yeah.
I loved your choice in casting. They were fantastic. They were spot on.
Yeah.
They were funny. Their timing was fantastic. Their movement, their expressions. What do you look for in your casting anyway?
Attention to detail. I always believe that acting's not about the lines. It's about what's going on underneath the lines, in between the lines. Like, what is this really about? So when they read a scene, I would stop them and be like, okay, so what is this about? I know the script says that, but what's really going on here? And let's try to find that and play with that.
Well, I love the performance tonight. I believe that casting is 80% of a director's job. You know,
yeah.
And basically, you did a fantastic job of casting. They were funny. They were perfect. They even looked beautiful. I mean, they looked for the right part.
Yeah.
You know, the story was actually very powerful. Even though for women it would be even more powerful, but even for me as a man, I found it very intense, very soul-crushing story.
Yeah. It's about, and it's interesting because these 3 characters come together in strange circumstances in this one night, and that night's going to change their lives. And I think all of us have had something like that happen, where you think back and you go, that one night was a weird night, but that actually changed my life. It did something to me, because at the end, Eddie, he hasn't cried since he was a child, and he ends up crying. And, you know, they all go through this kind of roller coaster of breaking out of their constraints, and it's poignant, it's pertinent, and forever those 3 will be changed after that, you know. So it's powerful whether you're a man or a woman, because I think as a human we all experience that. We all have constraints in some conformity that we want to break out of, and sometimes it takes someone standing up to us for us to actually do that.
Yeah, well, I really loved the performance tonight. I loved your direction. I loved the cast. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Pizza Man will be playing at the Dory Theater at the Complex in Hollywood from August 16th to August 26th. For more information, go to www.pizzamancomplex.com. This is Ashton Marcos, and I'm on location at Atwater Village Theater for the Open Fist presentation of Under Milkwood. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Tim Labor. Well, this was an absolute pleasure to work with the Open Fist Theater Company. This was the production was under Milkwood, and for me the challenge as a music director was to somehow bring the entire town into a single instrument, which was a prepared piano. So your listeners are probably aware of John Cage's experiments with prepared piano, and so we went back into a new music technique from the middle part of the 20th century and updated into a sort of theater context. Larragub, the town in this play, is a fictional town, and so we wanted to create a kind of a fictional instrument that contained all of the personalities of the town. So that was the challenge.
Very interesting. Again, the theme for me seemed to be like a fairy tale, so that would be actually, which era would that be?
The play mentions motor cars, so it was written in 53, so we're assuming that it's a town that's not up to date in 53. So we place it in the 1920s, perhaps, and so we don't see any radio in this town, but it's, it's a town that's a contemporary 20th century town that just isn't contemporary at heart.
It's very interesting. I thought I heard you say that you actually had the piano out of tune. Was
Yes.
Was that to get it into, say, a different key, like maybe some kind of dissonance, some kind of augmented key?
Exactly. So there were a couple of strategies in tuning the piano. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to take the extreme upper and lower registers of the piano and take them completely out of tune. In the upper registers you have multiple strings, and so what I wanted to do is to take that sound and sort of diffuse it like it's light among the trees. And then I did the same thing with the lower parts of the piano, and then in the middle of the piano there was a note that was detuned to be the sound effect of the bell. There was a scale that was, I put thumbtacks in the piano in order to make it sound like a harpsichord, and then the rest of it sounded very pure. And the pureness of the tuning, to answer your question, is it's Dorian. So that's a traditional Welsh mode, and so what I did to get those keys was I lowered a little bit of a third and raised a little bit of a sixth. So your listeners that like a natural tuning will probably recognize the fact that I treated the piano for certain keys, and then the rest of it is a barroom piano in which it doesn't matter whether it's in tune. So that was the trick.
That is fascinating. Again, I've always wondered about musical. Obviously, I do a lot of musical theater, but I always wondered about the musical directors, because it's like I know for a fact that the actors may start taking acting lessons when they're, say, 10, but for musicians, you have to start taking music lessons when you're 5. If you don't have something in you, you should become a doctor or something like that. You know what I mean? Is it true that you have to study the piano or music for such a long period of time?
I didn't. I think that's nonsense. I think you can start music at any time, and the things that we call music, you can do it in a lot of different ways at this point. So there's lots of ways into the piano. One of the things we're finding right now is that the piano keyboard, the synthesizer, that black and white note keyboard, is a default input instrument for computers. So people are learning the piano a little bit more than they used to, just because they're using other keyboards just as more than they used to. In terms of training, though, I didn't start when I was 5. I started in my teens, and my actual training was in digital audio in UC San Diego. So I was a research assistant, and I worked in surround sound. So for me, the piano is the way to ground my composition when I go to synthesizers. So I always touch the wood and the parts of a live instrument when I try to compose.
One more thing about musicians. A professional musician once told me he spends like 2 hours a day on his instrument, he spends another 2 hours a day composing, and he spends another 2 hours a day cutting track. So he says 6 hours a day he's just alone, not around anyone. And obviously then he has to do the rest of his work, like check his emails, make phone calls, contact people and all that. But is that true that you're around nobody for such a long period of time?
There are periods of time when you, in fact, have to suck it up and just be alone with yourself for long periods of time. And the interesting thing about being a composer is that you don't get to put on other media while you're doing it. If you're writing and you can listen to music, when you're making music, that's the one thing you can't do. So there's a kind of aloneness that composers in particular are used to, because they can't have those bits of media medicine out there helping them.
Well, as for this piece, I loved it. Again, it was so surreal. Your music actually brought in, even down to the clock. We actually were doing a tick, 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 and you weren't even using a metronome. I believe you were using your hand or something like that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's trying to be calm and think like a metronome, I guess. I don't know what the intention of a metronome is, but I don't know. Thank you for liking it.
Well, again, I love the performance. I loved your music. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased that you came, and everybody come and see Open Fist under Milkwood.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with...
I'm Jade Santana. Well, I just really happy with all the night. That it was really great fun. I love the cast. I love this opportunity, and I'm just really happy with because I think we're going to do a really good month of runs. And thank you for coming. Yeah.
Yeah. And which characters did you play?
I was Lily Smalls and Gwenny. I think Gwenny's just like that kid in the school that she needs the attention, and she tries to get that through the boys. And I think Lily Smalls, she's just a maid that she doesn't get enough attention, and she does that herself. So every time that no one's around, that's when her true self comes out. That's it.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, I think they should expect to see a really great cast of really amazing actors doing what they love. Yeah.
I thought the piece was a little sexual, even amongst, well, first of all, in a child's mind.
Yeah.
Like, say if a child was abused, it would be like, what would her opinion of sex be? What would it be like? It had a lot of the pieces had to deal with that.
Yeah, well, I think it's, I particularly, I love it because I think it's really fun. It's not like, I think it's sexual, but not everyone gets it. So it's kind of underneath everything. And I just think it's the right amount of sexual. And, for kids, they're not going to get it.
I thought it was like a cross between Dr. Seuss and the Brothers Grimm. You know what I mean? The Brothers Grimm was very dark. This was a dark piece. I mean, it did talk a little bit about, had bright sides to it, the prostitute would talk about her fantastic memories of the past, things like that. But it was mostly dark.
Yeah. It's dark, but at the same time, it isn't, because I think it's just truthful. Like, it shows the reality of those people that I don't think you see a lot of times in plays and movies and stuff, because I think that people tend to romanticize everything instead of actually showing the truth. And I think this plays about really showing what those people are like. It's like what they dream, and there's nothing there is more intimate than that, than what you dream about at night. And that's why I think it's great.
Okay. Well, I love the performance. I love your performance also.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you brightened up the stage when you walked in. You really stepped into the character.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you once again for being on the show.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. Now I'm here with...
Hi, my name is Kenya Romero. I'm an actress based in LA, and I'm a member of the Open Fist Theater Company. I've been a member since November of last year, and I love doing theater.
Great, and which characters did you play tonight?
Tonight, I played Bessie Bighead, Mayrose Cottage, and Mrs. Diebread too, along with one of those young schoolgirls, part of the Gwenny and the Boys scene. Oh my God, they're so fun. I love Mayrose Cottage's innocence. She's just trying to find Mr. Right, exploring her sexuality. I do a lot of the sexy characters. It's really fun. Mrs. Diebread too is one of the second wives. She's a wife of Mr. Diebread. It's really funny how she kind of messes with Mrs. Diebread 1's head, trying to give her a little peek into what's going on in the mistress bedroom. And then the schoolgirls is so fun because we just play this really weird kissing game with the boys. And Bessie Bighead is my favorite, actually, because she's really sweet and she has a really great backstory. She is an outcast, so she confides in her farmhouse cows to keep her company, and they don't judge her, and she's just really unique and quirky.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
If you come to see Under Milkwood, just expect to see a really fun cast and ensemble cast. We're a cast of 19. It's a show about a quirky town and eccentric villagers, and everyone just has such a heart of gold, and it's really, really fun, just high energy, and you get to see a little peek into everyone's lives and how fun they are, really. Everyone just wants love and sex and lots of shenanigans, really.
It reminded me a lot of Irish poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I die, I want to have them play Irish music, because you think about it, it's actually very appropriate for when people are dying. Think about the past, think about pleasant times and all that. That reminded me a lot about this piece.
That's why, yes, speaking of poetry, that's why we love Under Milkwood. It's a classic by Dylan Thomas, who is a British poet and playwright. And the language is so beautiful and dense, and it's amazing to read it, but even more amazing to see it come to life. And to speak the language is such a privilege. It's amazing. So if you want to come watch some great acting, some beautiful words, and absorb this wonderful poetic language, come see Under Milkwood.
Well, I really love your performance. I love your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcos. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Richard Abraham. Well, I'm just enjoying the heck out of being in this show right now. And just like we just opened up, and it's this unique flavor of just being in this dream of people, of like, and what they, and the little eccentricities they have in the world that they live in. It's fun to sort of dive into. And it's fun to sort of, imbibe in that atmosphere that's going on.
And what's your take on your characters?
Oh my goodness! Well, they've got a bunch of different type of characters. Many of them have this sort of inner, like they want to be released in some way. They want to be like, they're sort of keeping themselves tamped down, and little things are percolating out of them and they're popping out of them and wanting to be expressed. But they still are like, they're just like they're so, I don't know how to put it, like I'm just going through all of them, because like you have like the farmer, you have like the husband that's been henpecked to death but has those imaginations of wanting to be released. And you have the ghost of somebody who was henpecked literally to death and never got released. And it's just they're all like have a level of, you just gotta love them in a sense of like what they've been through and what they're surviving and what they wish to be.
Yeah, if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, I guess they should expect to see, like I said, it's sort of like there's a level of this otherworldliness to it. It's like really grounded in like people who are, very simple and straightforward, but at the same time, it's like their wonderments, their imaginations, their hopes, their dreams, and their all that pettiness that's outside of there. Like that, how do they escape? How do they, become who they want to be? And it's just sort of this fun of the poetry and the music that comes out, and it's just a nice thing of. Oh God, how am I going to put? I mean, it's like very theatrical, but very fulfilling, nourishing. I'd say it's nourishing in a lot of ways.
I was reminded a lot of the Brothers Grimm, and believe it or not, a little bit of Dr. Seuss too. Kind of like Whoville in poetry.
I sort of think of it almost as like, if Gabriel Garcia Marquez was Welsh. There's this magical realism that's going on, but it's also very, of that very Welsh culture and of that very, different. Instead of everything being already on top, it's like underneath and wanting to be on top. So it's that inverse type of what Marquez would have almost, but it has this, it's like you said, fairy tales and wonderments and like other lands that are sort of wandering around where they live. And they may not even be aware of it, but it's sort of infused who they are and how they live their lives.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of throwbacks to ghosts, a lot to spirits, to sailing, to actually a lot of sexual references to it, which is very subtle. And again, a lot about death too.
Yes, yeah. I mean, many of them aren't. I mean, half the characters are dead. They're not even alive on stage, but they're living past their death. They're living past what they, they're still wanting to breathe in who they were. They're not ready to let go of what that world was to them.
Okay, well, once again, I love the performance. I love your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Under Milkwood will be playing at Atwater Village Theater from July 27th to August 25th. For more information, go to www.openfist.org.